Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Whoote Loot. We have an exciting show. When do we not have an exciting show? Is more of the question. Today's show is called How to Make a Fortune During the Market Collapse, and we're going to show you exactly how. We're also going to recommend, as we always have, lighten up on those overvalued tech stocks. So with that, and further ado, like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss any show, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Whoote Loot. Be informed, be amused, but never be misled. And right behind me, I'm a man of interest, let's say. The cops have been looking at me real strange, but it's for a reason, okay? So let's go to the first chart. What you see here is nominal versus real rates versus inflation, because those are the three things that everybody wants to talk about today, other than cryptos. All right, so what you see here is we have negative interest rates of about 5%. That is phenomenally bullish for precious metals, which we'll talk about later, and even give you some tips, some stocks that look really good. We'll see. Okay, so to prove it, here's an overlay of all the data we had over the over the price of gold, and looky, they just happen to be correlated very well. All right, Bitcoin is one of the canaries in the coal mine. I wish one day this craze would end so I don't get calls and texts. Do you know anything about Bitcoin? Unbelievable. Anyway, this is Bitcoin 5 years. Kind of bouncing around, but ultimately, I view this as something that will work its way down. I have still not heard of any use of Bitcoin. No one's ever asked me for a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or a Litecoin. Has anyone asked you? Think about it. All right, the other canary in the coal mine and the con man of the year, or humanitarian con man of the year, Elon Musk Corporation, Tesla. Look at that, actually a pretty good pattern. But and they had good earnings report, but lo and behold, everybody is suing poor Elon for racial discrimination, including the California Labor Board. So he just can't get himself out of trouble. Actually, he looks for trouble. So we'll have more on that as time goes on, because he's good for a laugh a week. The other one that buys all the hip stocks, trendy stocks. Oh, I own Beyond Meat. They make, plant-based meat tastes really good. Okay? That's kind of stuff she buys. And she buys Palantir and DraftKings and all the things that are down 80%. Okay? That's why you see the thing down so much. Because she keeps buying China corporations, and they're not exactly going her way. China's cracked down on the market, okay? They've cracked down. So one wonders why she would do that. But it doesn't matter. If you bought into Ark Innovation anytime in the last 2 years, you're down, sorry, and she keeps proclaiming that she'll have a rally any day now. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year, maybe after you pass on. Who knows? And finally, the Renaissance IPO. These are the kind of stocks that are owned by Ark Innovation. As you notice, everyone's underwater. Get an IPO? Yeah, sure, it bursts up at the opening, but does it ever last? Sometimes. I mean, Amazon was an IPO, Apple was an IPO, so they do good. They sometimes are very lucrative. But Renaissance IPO bought all the junk. Period. Bought all the junk and still justifies it and brings out fund after fund after fund of junk. All right, now we're going to the market. The Dow Jones Industrials, guess what? Never should call top of the market, but it ain't going to return to the levels it had, basically. And, the Dow Jones Industrials have already pierced their bear flag twice. All right. This is a bear flag because it slopes up. All right. It's harder to break up than to break down. Okay. That's why it's a bear, not a bull flag. Anyway, ding, ding. Another one bites the dust. Another one does, and another one does, and another one bites the dust. Woo! Boom, boom, boom. I'm in a musical mood today, sorry. And I'm feeling a little goofy. Sorry, but you are going to love today's show, I think. All right, so NASDAQ 100. Speaking of ding dings, we've already done that one. And look, it's turned out pretty good. Okay, so sorry. S&P 500. Guess what? Ding ding too. This thing has formed a rounded top, and it also, while it hasn't broken the dotted support line, it will follow all the averages down. End of story. All right, so and it's in a big rounded top, and the reason a rounded top makes so much sense is because it's like a parabola. It's like tossing a ball up, and momentum slows down, and then it curls over and comes back to earth. I think you hear Ace in the background. He hates when I say that. All right, Russell Small Cap 500, another one that I think we can say, ding, 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 ding. Look at that, it's broken a bear flag, over a year bear flag. All it did was churn and churn and churn and churn, but it also cites a lack of liquidity in the market. The Fed has decided to taper down. Aha! Dow Jones Transport Index, we won't say ding ding yet, but it looks like it's a ding ding. Okay, so this doesn't look too good either, and I would avoid these companies because they're very important. Okay, and the US dollar, which is a piece of paper, looks like it's still in its uptrend, and we've invented something that is better than the dollar. It's a crypto dollar, and here it is. It's I don't know if you can see it, but it has more than one use, and it basically has value as a dollar. Another form of currency, if you will. All right. US 20-year dollar's not going anywhere. Yet gold is going up. What I told you is the dollar can lose a lot of purchasing power and still go up if the other knuckleheads in Europe do an even worse job. And they do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, US 5-year Treasury bills. Now, this is a 20-year graph. Look at that. It's a steady downtrend, and it is soared up, and it has really a target of about 2.5% near term, okay? And the bond market yields have gone down for 40 years. I just couldn't find a 40-year graph, but this says it all. Now, these are inflation-protected securities. Now, this one is possibly, something that doesn't connect, because they should be going up, not down. And I don't know. I tend to buy the sum of the evidence and not one data point. So I'm looking at it, but not buying it quite yet. Now, this is called the 5. These are short run Treasury inflation protected securities. Boy, that is a mouthful. I got to take a drink just to say the next line. Thank you. Sorry about that, pig. What a pig. Who did that? All right, here we go. Now, if you notice the short-term tips, the rounded top was aborted. Okay, they broke through. It's never really a buy until it breaks through the support line. Not in this case. these guys are going up. Yields are going up. Yields are going up. Keep thinking that way. Yields are going up. These are the 10-year Treasury yield index um, of 20 years for 20 years time period. Okay, it also is in a very orderly decline, as you can see. And if I did it for 40 years, it would look just like that. Okay, so what you see is a breakdown, a false break, unfortunately, but it could be the way I drew the line. I mean, it is a science after all, but or an art after all, and a science, and an art and a science, and an art and a science, and that kind of thing. Okay, so you can see a very, very disciplined pattern, a trend channel all the way down, but it's starting to get a breath of life in it, and it's going up. So that's not good news unless you're short treasuries, and it's terrible news. Well, it's actually good news if you're with Social Security, but on the other hand, it's really bad news if you have to finance a huge $3 trillion deficit. All right, it's 30 years, same thing. All right, now look at this guy. This guy can go up to 3%. Okay, that's the first line of resistance. Once it hits 3%, it might bounce back, but it's on its way. Okay, it's on its way. All right, Ethereum, Ethereum 5 years weekly. This looks a lot like Bitcoin, and there's so much talk about Ethereum. Really, really, really. See, the thing is, what use does it serve other than to facilitate illegal transactions like money laundering and all kinds of cons? Okay, Bitcoin is untraceable, supposedly. I don't actually think it is, but people fall into that impression. Litecoin, how would you want to own one of these? What could you use it for? And look at that. If you held it, if you're a long-term holder and held it for 5 years, you would have lost a cool 80%. That's not a long-term hold. Okay, I'm sorry. And it's not an investment either. You cannot exchange one for one or buy anything with it unless the merchant's a dummy, okay? And nobody really wants it. Overstock tried it. Didn't work out so well. MicroStrategy is another one. Run by Michael Saylor. Like Saylor, New in Town Saylor? He must be, because he bought Bitcoin with a bond. He leveraged a volatile asset, and look how low he's gone. He's done his shareholders a disservice. Why doesn't the board intervene? I don't know. It's Wall Street after all, and they just don't care. But if you look at this, how can you possibly have made a profit as you sit here today? You can't. And Ripple, of course, another one which is basically a bus token for your money. Now, why would a bus token for your money go up and down like that? I don't know. So maybe we should have bus tokens and put them out in the market, and people bid, and they'll be worth a fortune too. I don't know. So anyway, goodbye Ripple, ding ding, sorry, it's over. Actually, I should ding ding a bunch of these. Coinbase Global is the brokerage firm of cryptos. Basically, they are the dominant leader next to Ripple, and Ripple is basically crawling on its stomach. I didn't even want to put a picture in it because you already know what it looks like. Basically straight down. Okay, unbelievable. You have lost like 90% since the IPO of Robinhood, and they do a lot of robbing. So I hear. I'm not making any accusations from personal experience, but you should hear that. Okay, so Coinbase Global is really the dominant one, but it's down because they trade Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's down, and interest is down, and that's what happens. Okay, this is CR Commodities Index. If anything shows their inflation, forget about tips, okay? I'm not sure about that, but I am sure about this, because if you look at it, it is going screaming higher. It's a basket of commodities all saying the same thing. Short supply, inflation, bottlenecks, blah, blah, blah. Well, they didn't say blah, blah, blah. That was actually my original addition to that. And I said it first. So don't copyright it, or I can't copyright it. I should copyright it. I've had a rude day, as you can tell. Okay, so the agriculture fund is going up, and that's comprised of commodities of agriculture. And the funny thing is about this agriculture fund is that I don't know if they make any money either. But it's going up. The demand is going up. I think, no, actually, I shouldn't say that. The price is going up despite lagging demand. That's called stagflation, and that's where we go. Base metals are the objects that you use to to fabricate something. For example, high-rise building. Not that anybody would do that today, but anyway, they're going up. They're going up. Inflation, inflation, inflation. All right, crude oil. Oh my! I can't believe how this got out of Jay Powell. I'm sorry, not Jay Powell, but OPEC's hands and everybody's hands. It's just going straight up, and there's not enough oil to pump for it because a lot of the storage capacity has been drained. So this doesn't look so good. At $100 a barrel, it's going to be pretty punitive to own a car. So I don't know. I just don't know. Actually, I suspect, but I don't know. Gasoline, which is what people use crude oil for primarily, and that's started to go up too, despite mileage driven is down. So why would mileage driven be down and the price skyrockets? Because it's not about the supply and demand equation. It's just inflation again and taxation and, gas in your car. Or as Gomer Pyle would say, oh, can I fill up your filling station, please? That was what Gomer Pyle used to say. They used to call them filling stations. All right, so on to better things. Here's Apple for 5 years, and this one is in a bear flag, but it's holding up pretty darn well. And you got to wonder why it's holding up darn well. This one should be leading the way down. It may catch up. We'll see. But in any event, this is a bearish signal. Amazon, your favorite online store, tried to get actually, Jeff Bezos tried to get a 10 million contract to fly a jet or fly a rocket ship as if he knows how. All right, I just don't believe it. Anyway, Amazon is kaput, as they say, and even though I should ring the bell for them, I won't. I'll just stay mum. Too much piling on does no one no good. And this is Meta Platforms, formerly known as Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, the three most unbelievably corrupt, and they basically encouraged fraud. Everyone that text messages me wants me to go to WhatsApp. Sorry, I took it off my machine, and a prior show tells you why. It's called the greatest scam in America. If you haven't seen it, I should really suggest you do. The other one I would like you to see is Bitcoin Bites Back, because that one we give all the relevant information that Bitcoin's a fraud, as are cryptocurrencies in general, which is why we need cryptocurrencies, because at least we have something tangible, not a password, not one single thing, and you can't get it back. Who would have thought? Now, we said Meta Platforms. God, I hate that name. Facebook is easy to say. Meta Platforms. That's not so smooth. Doesn't really roll off the tongue. But anyway, we set a bear flag, and all of a sudden, look at that. It dropped like a rock, and that's a one for the negative side. And people are buying it up because they think it's cheap. Oh, no, no, no. It's just gotten started yet. The bear market just started yet. It's going to go a lot lower. I believe this thing will go all the way down to like, I don't know, maybe, I'm thinking here, maybe $100, maybe nothing. With all the class action lawsuits against them, that's not so good. They're just going to drain this company dry. Mark Zuckerberg is being sued personally for the fact checkers, which didn't exist. And here we go. The worst company in the world. Meta Platforms, if you can repeat that 20 times. And that reminds me, you too can participate in getting rid of the bums in Congress and the presidency and everybody else, okay? Senate too, governors, you name it. Professional politicians are in it for themselves. All they care about is re-election. And so we have a way that you can show your way to actually say it. And who knows, maybe it'll start a movement. Vote on all the incumbents. They will adopt term limits for themselves. I guarantee it. We're going to shove it down their throats. They work for us. We don't work for them. Well, I got to stop ranting and raving. But look at these cool shirts. Could you do any better? And there's Hooter, our mascot. Okay? So anyway, we're going to go on. Google, Alphabet, they all changed their names. But this one has actually held up pretty well, although it is about to complete a rounded top. And if it does, not only will the 20s for one split lower the price, but the price is going lower anyway. Microsoft, another rounded top. It's about time. It's about flipping time. Bill Gates, who used to be the benefactor, founder, and everything, oh my God, I don't know what the hell he do now. Because he wants you to get like 1 million jabs. No thank you, Bill. I pass. Netflix, a horror story if I've ever seen one. And this thing just gapped down on heavy volume and subscriber growth and blah, blah, blah. Wasn't very good. But it really doesn't matter what the company says. The company's always going to put a positive pitch on whatever they say. This thing, unfortunately, will go down too because of the competition they have. Hulu and even cable companies have streaming video. So what the hell? They make their own. They make their own movies, good, but that's not always profitable. So, you don't get the, other little tchotchkes that you get with that. You just don't. You just don't. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. And this is gold. 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 Now I'm going to show you the happy bell right here. See that? It's a happy bell for a reason. And the reason being this, that gold has broken out from a 5-year triangle and pretty substantially, I might add. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about, it's the Ukraine-Russian tensions or this or that, but gold's going up regardless. Regardless, because of inflation. And they got a lot of it back here. Boy, would I love a sample. Oh, those gold bars. They make me sweat with joy. All right, silver is another positive pattern. Silver hasn't done as well as I would have expected yet, but once it breaks out from the cup and handle, off she goes. Palladium is another precious metal, one used in EVs and other manufacturing reasons. It broke down, but then broke back up, and I'm going to take a guess that it'll break through that 2300 that it needs to pierce to go and start the second leg of its bull market. Platinum is more than gold, believe it or not, and it's actually about the same price. And it's about to break out of a flag formation, and when it does, off she goes. Platinum. No platinum blondes for you. No platinum silverware. Just platinum. This platinum. Gold and silver miners. Now this is another one. This is called the Gold Bugs Index. It's another basket. It's an index, not an ETF, just a basket. Okay, so it's already pierced. It's a declining trend line. See, some of them, depending on how you view them, some are already in bull markets. I'm just a little conservative, so I don't want to jump the gun and pound the table, and besides, it'll knock over. But these look pretty damn good. Yamana Gold is one of my favorites. I think it deserves a happy bell like this. Because look at that. It's broken out of a year and a half pattern of a descending wedge. That's pretty damn bullish if you ask me. And this one Yamana can go to who knows where. You know, it's not just going to 650, I guarantee you. If it breaks that amount, it breaks that trend line. Once it broke that trend line, it's a guess. But, you know, we'll be watching it around that time. But hold your hats. Commodity cycles like gold usually last for 10 years. You don't have to get out and get in and get out and get in. This can be a long-term hold. Okay? This could be your long-term hold. Eldorado Gold is probably my favorite. Eldorado. This is also a stock that's broken out on a big spike. So, you know, it's I got to show you the next graph, but this is a very, very good graph. I got to show you one coming up here. Eldorado Gold monthly. Now look at that. That little move is nothing. Look how high it's been in the past. 75? What the hell happened? Well, maybe they're undervalued, but hell, there's a lot of potential. That's all I got to say. A lot of potential for a long-term hold, especially if it breaks out from that 13, 14 level where you see the declining line in green, okay? That would say this thing is off to the races at Hollywood Park. Hollywood Park? I don't know. And, I forgot to label this. Sorry, technical difficulties. But it's called I Am Gold, okay? I know it's a little narcissistic to say I am gold, but what the hell? They are gold. And they've just broken out too. So here's another one that you might want to look at because it can go up a lot, a lot. This is BTG Gold, and right there, it just broke out. And this is another one that you might want to look at for speculative reasons. Barrick Gold is sort of the blue chip of miners. It's the biggest. They produce the most at pretty much the lowest cost. And looky here, they just soared the other days, and this thing can go so much higher. I guarantee you. Here's 5 years weekly, broke out again, and this thing, again, you can see that this can go much higher. Wheaton Precious Metals is another blue chip. They just broke out. It's primarily a silver company with a little gold, but it's well run. And look at that, the perfect pattern to make a fortune. Okay, to make a fortune. All right, now we go to the bad news, and now I gotta find a sad bell somewhere. I don't have one. Oh well. Retail in general is suffering a slowdown, and that includes department stores and everything else. They're saying that they had the worst Christmas, but they're having a great January. They had a great January because Christmas stuff didn't ship fast enough because of the bottlenecks, because of the inflation, because of you-know-who. All right. Target also not looking too good. And I would say it's time to vamoose, exit stage right. Or is that exit stage left? Or right or left? I don't know. But the target is now not so good. Home Depot, we talked about it as if it was the next coming of Christ, and look at that. It's not doing so good either. It has a long way to go. It's at $400. So Be careful of Home Depot. But understand that with all these retailers breaking down, okay, retail is 70% of the economy. So these guys are so important as an indicator of health or not health. Just don't get a shot. All right, Walmart, look at that. Last to go, down. And this is a Dow component. This is not so good. It's going down. Sorry. FedEx, the company that delivers the goods, well, that looks good either. Head and shoulders, and it looks like a breakdown. So again, you got to buy goods, you got to ship goods, and that tells you a recession or depression is right around the corner. Maybe not next week. Maybe not next week. But we'll talk about that later as it approaches. And UPS has done a better job for a moment. You know, they gapped up on some earnings news, but then all of a sudden they just faltered and went down. There is not enough buying power in the market to propel a stock like this to great heights. Okay, it's just not there. So let's go on to the next one, which is the big bank index. They're looking okay, but with the yield curve flattening like this, and actually once it inverts, that's really bad news. But with rates at the short end as high as they are, and the Fed allowing you to borrow overnight at zero, they're not doing too good. Okay, they buy short. I'm sorry, they buy short and they lend long, which is higher typically. Broker dealer index, these guys are never going down. You know why? Because they're in cahoots with Goldman Sachs and all that kind of stuff. You know, and the Feds and the Department of Treasury, and I almost can guarantee that another Goldman Sachs person will be with the Treasury. So in any event, you know, they went up, they went down in kind of a diminishing pattern, and I'd say odds are they're going to break down. So we'll keep watching, but SpaceX is their last hope, and you know that's a fraud. Well, not all of it, just some of it. The Mars thing is a fraud, the moon thing is a fraud. Okay, Goldman Sachs is the most important of the financial companies, and look at that. It's about to break down. Actually, it did break down from a rounded top. I'm so sick of saying rounded top, rounded top, rounded top, rounded top. Looks like that. You know, like this. Here's a rounded top. Or it could be like this. You know, it could be a head and shoulders where you have a rally, and then it goes higher, and then it doesn't go as high because it's run out of gas, and then it just plunges. American Express is the only financial company that looks really good. And credit card companies actually don't look so bad either. But what's very interesting is that American Express is a component of the Dow, and I don't understand this exactly. They did have a good earnings report, but so many others. We'll see. We'll just have to see. No ding ding here, I'll tell you that right now. All right, MasterCard. There you go, sideways pattern, 5 years in making. They've gone all the way to the support line and back to the resistance line over and over and over. What I conclude is this, you know, they're just churning before they break down, because along with logistics and trucking and shipping and credit cards, with retail, so are credit cards. And that's the thing. With credit cards, you also have an indication of the economy. It could be in American Express's case that people are borrowing too much. Gee, I wonder where they got that idea. Maybe from the federal government. Who knows? And you know what? I owe this to all the incumbents. Vote all the incumbents. I owe it to them. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, so I think we finished with MasterCard for the time being. And now we got Visa. Looks good. Broke down a little. It should break down to the green line, or break up to the green line. It may already be curling over, and so we'll keep an eye on it. But again, this is not all that healthy, and because it's not all that healthy, it means that credit card companies are not being accessed as much, which means retail sales are not as high. So here we go. And here's the airline index. I'm sick and tired of hearing how everybody's on those flights. Well, unfortunately, most are bankrupt, yet they still have value. How the hell? You know, they have planes that sit on the tarmac or parking spaces for months at a time. I wouldn't even go into one of those things. Rats would probably been in it, and it probably stinks like hell. Oh, God, just the thought of it. Okay. Anyway, airlines are not doing very well. Their fleet's depreciating, and they enter long-term leases. So they still owe the money, or they default. They're in a pickle, and gas prices going up. How'd you like that? And wages going up, because everybody's wages have to go up. Big oil is one of those places that I said would be a good place to be, just not now. It's too high. It will come down to support. When it's coming down to support, it breaks out from something meaningful, a trend line, a declining trend line, whatever. Then it will be a buy, big oil, or any company in it. This is, again, is an index, okay? But it's a commodity. It's now around 95, and we can't do a thing about it because shale oil now is only competitive at 90 or so, which means, you know, they're not fast on track to start drilling like crazy. Home builders. This is another hallmark of the economy. Lumber prices are higher, copper prices are higher, and look at this. That's what a home is made of, and this just perceptibly broke down. The housing market has broke down. Houses are unaffordable. Who would have thunk it? Gee, house prices go up, there's inflation, and rates are gonna have to go higher. I mean, the components to make a house are going higher. They're commodities, primarily copper and lumber. All right, so let's see one more. And Whirlpool I added because it's a durable good manufacturer, okay? You don't buy a washer, dryer, or a refrigerator every single year. You buy them for like 10 years. So it goes along with the new houses, because then they put appliances in. Otherwise, you know, you replace them when you absolutely have to. And it doesn't look too good. Whirlpool's a great company, like Magic Chef. It just doesn't look too good. So in any event, I would love to thank you for being here. You'll always be informed, amused, but never misled. And all I got to say is vote out the politicians and make America laugh again. And by the way, I don't know who said it, but someone said loss of jobs is the reason for the rise of mental illness. Oh, God. He's obviously watching too much cable TV. That's all I got to say. Kids, don't do it at home. Save yourselves while you can. Watch the Cartoon Network if you have to. And with that, I'm going to say, please like and subscribe. We love you to death. We want you to have this information because this is vital. You'll never hear it on cable news. So with that, I say thank you very much and see you next time.